Imagine never having to respond to another support ticket or customer inquiry again. And if you think that sounds too good to be true, then you need to watch every second of today's episode, because I brought on my good friend Bradford Carlton to walk us through how he created an AI agent that can replace 90% of the work that your sales and support team are currently doing. It's gonna blow your mind, so let's get into it. Bradford, what's up, man? Thank you for being here.
It's a wonderful day. I'm glad to be here with you, Jason.
No, I'm very excited. So what are we going to learn today? What's everybody going to have, or the knowledge they're going to receive by the time if they end up watching all the way to the end of the episode?
Sure. They're going to learn how they can build AI systems, AI tools, absolutely no code, because I'll admit I have no idea. I have no idea how to program. I don't know coding languages. I don't know any of that jack. But what they're going to get is, because you asked me so nicely, I actually built out an entire workflow that they can take and they can use to be able to set up in their email system for their customer service team to be able to process their customer service tickets. So it's going to be able to answer their questions. It'll be able to escalate issues. And they can obviously build off of it and make it more powerful and a better workflow, more specific to their business.
I love it. Let's jump in. Show me what you got. And while you're doing that, I'll just tell everybody. So I had a client who came to me when we started talking about workflows, and I was showing them some of the things that I was developing in n8n. And one of my clients who has a large sales force, and they get roughly 3,000 requests a day. And he said most of them can be answered with simple cut and paste responses. And that's the way he trains his sales team, is to have these sort of ready to go. Absolutely. And he said, how close are we to developing something where the AI can just take those copy pastes and then respond to the client or respond to the prospect, and we don't have to handle that at all anymore? And I said, I'm pretty sure you can do that, but that's beyond my capabilities as an n8n developer. But I said, I know a guy who can probably help. And sure. Man, you did some incredible work. So let's take a look.
I think you asked me on Monday, and I'm like, yeah, give me a day or two.
Yeah, I was shocked at how fast you did.
This is what I put together here. Let me show you that real quick. Here we go. So nice. This is the workflow I put together. And it's based on another workflow that I had that's more of an inbox email triage. So it does a whole lot of other things. But customer service was kind of just an itty bitty part that I just send it to the customer service team. I'm not going to handle that.
Sure.
So when you said, oh, can you build that part out? I'm like, yeah, sure, we can do that. Now, please don't feel like overwhelmed by what you see here. There's not.
Yeah, I'm already overwhelmed. This is the biggest thing that I've seen anybody build so far. So this is interesting. Where do we start?
Show you my personal assistant then, Jason. All right. So how you want me to cover this? So like broad strokes, and we can get into the details. Or?
Well, I guess the first question I have is, how do we trigger this? Let's start with just that. How does the thing decide? Is it through email? Is it through some sort of other, is it through a CRM? Because I'm assuming that whatever you built, we can easily attach it to any CRM that a company might have. Yeah.
Yes. It's all customizable. It's so flexible in your ability to build these things out. I currently have it set up to an email.
Okay.
So it's set up to one of my business email accounts. I don't usually get any messages. So you can actually test this right now. If you sent me an email at bradford@mayfloweradvising.com and ask it a question, it'll go down one of two paths. And so the first path is, if your question isn't really customer service related, we just kind of error out. We send them a message saying, hey, this is the customer support line. If you got a question, let me know. Otherwise, contact us at this other email address. Yeah. If it is a support question, then we go through this process over here in this blue section. And this is for new tickets. And I kind of had to divide up new tickets versus replies to older tickets, simply because of the way that emails come into the system. It grabs all of the text. Yeah. It grabs not just the current message, but all the previous replies, and it scrunches them all together. And the AI can't figure that out unless you give it that context. Okay. So I had to divide it up in that.
And do you do that? Do you do that with what is that node where you're parsing that to decide whether it goes to a new issue or an old issue or an old response?
So I have an if node. One little check right here, and this is checking whether this has a thread ID. This number right here in Gmail, and each system might be a little different, so you kind of have to go in and tweak it for yourself. But if the thread ID is equal to the ID of the email, then it's the first email in the communication chain.
Okay. And
Right? And if this is different, then it's part of a larger email reply chain.
got it. And that's unique to the way that Gmail does it.
Yes.
Okay.
But again, most systems have something. They might have a different label that might say this is a reply, or there might be something in there. I tried to build out the system originally so that at the end of each of these kind of chains, however the question ends up going through the system, at the end, it always gets tagged with a label with it just says CS. So if I come over to my email account here, I was testing it. So it gets tagged with this label that says CS.
Oh, I can't see that.
You can't see that one? Oh,
No,
well, that's because you're not looking at my other window. But that's beside the point.
Okay.
Well, don't worry about it. Just imagine there's a CS there.
Got it.
And so my thinking was on the second pass, that label would show up. But unfortunately, Gmail only shows me 4 labels, these 4. So I'm like, I got to find another solution. And so it's just a matter of, for your specific use case, you're going to have to find the right answer.
Got it.
Right.
Okay, perfect. So
right.
we've gone through the if, and then what's the next node that's sort of like, you see it right there? Yeah, that's the one I'm looking at.
Okay, so going down this path, this is a text classifier that's going to read the email that we got from the email account, and it's going to check whether or not the user is asking a customer service related question, is giving feedback, is asking something that would fall within the realm of customer service.
Okay. And how
If
does
not,
is that an agent? Is that like an AI? Because this is always gets confusing for me, and I think for a lot of people, is what's an agent and what's just like a node in the workflow that is designed to do a specific task?
So I'm gonna go and say kind of the same thing I tell you every time you post a question, Jason, in my community, which is go and watch my videos because I explain all that. So up here in AI agents, when we're adding a new one, this gives us all the various types of AI agents, and they're essentially just kind of pre-programmed AI agents. One of them is this one here, text classifier. And what it does in practice is it takes your input and then you give it categories to be able to parse down those paths.
Yeah.
And so, in fact, this is, I think, one of the most powerful AI agent tools in all of n8n. It's actually what makes my personal assistant work, is the ability for the AI to read it and determine what are you actually asking it to do.
Yeah. And I'm, by the way, I'm asking the question because I have asked it to you probably 5 or 6 times in the community. So I'm a member of Bradford's community. He's been helping me a lot with the builds, and that's why I wanted him to come on and show us how he built this out. Because that was a question that kept coming up as I was working. I think learning how to think about this, and you and I have talked about this, learning how to think about building it is really the hardest part. And once you kind of figure out, oh yeah, these are all the steps that need to happen, then doing the rest of it, figuring out what to drag in and what the JSON needs to be or what the prompt needs to be for the agent is a lot easier once you understand the flow. Well, the worst thing that can happen is you forget to run a piece of it, like, or you use a merge node instead of an if node, and it just becomes a nightmare to try and solve on your own.
Yeah. So kind of my process in building these is I build the structure first. Like I don't actually put in any functionality as I'm building this out. So when I first built it, I started with a Gmail node, and then I went to this text classifier here, and I already had these branches on the model I was basing this off of. But as I'm going through, I'm like, okay, well, what if this happened? Because I'm a business owner. Like I know all the dumb stuff that happens when emails come in. Like, what if that happened? What if this happened? Well, if that happened, I would need to check that up the chain somewhere. And so that's how I build my processes out. I then go back in and do all of the connecting and getting the system prompts right and the AI outputs right. And usually at that point, I don't have to make too many changes, but I might have to add an additional thing here or there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hands down, that's the best way to do it. Because once I started doing that and stopped trying to figure out how to make each one of them work in the chain and just laid them out, your head gets clearer about how you should be building. So anyway, yeah, just let's keep going.
Yeah. Text classifier determines if this is a customer support question. And so like specifically I'm asking it here, well, we can read it. Customer related emails, whether new inquiry, it's a, just new inquiries, support requests, feedback, testimonials, reviews, ongoing projects, anything that seems like it might be related, right?
Got it.
If not, I just have it comes down here to this AI agent that basically just writes a quick message saying this isn't customer support, and it sends the email as a reply.
Okay.
All right. It does not tag it as customer service because it doesn't seem to be a customer service. Then over here, this is kind of the bulk of it. And in fact, it's mostly the same as up here. They're essentially the same. The only difference is I'm not adding this extra tag because it's already been tagged. There's no point in doing it again.
Yeah.
So what we do is I've kind of considered what are the different types of customer support tickets you might get. So there's questions, there's things related to their orders or payments. If they're just saying, oh man, I really want to let you guys know how great you are, it's feedback and reviews. Or you might get that one person who's like, let me speak to your manager, and they're not even going to tell you what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, an escalation request. So those are kind of the four main categories. There might be more. Your business might require different things, but it's as easy to add another category as just clicking the button, add category, and typing it in. All right. Hopefully I didn't break anything. Cool. It didn't break anything. I tell you, whenever I do a demo, I'll be doing things and I'm like, please work.
Yeah, it's only funny when when you've been building and you've seen it crash so many times, and all you can do is just laugh.
Yeah. So that's escalate. Escalate's really simple. We'll start in the bottom. Basically, it tags it. I'll zoom in for you.
Yeah, there we go.
So,
now I can see it better.
So it just tags it with that customer support label, like I mentioned. And then it will send an email to whomever you want it to send to escalate it. So here I just have, subject, customer service inquiry, escalation request, to the manager, and we give it all the context. So who's it from, the subject line of the email, and the message itself, all contained right within one email so that your manager gets it. They know exactly how to find it, where to go. If you want, additional data, if you wanted to pull out of your CRM first and attach a customer ID number and all that, you can. I didn't because there's just so many different systems. I didn't know what to hook up for you.
Yeah, it's all very customizable. I think that's going to just be a repeated theme all the way through this. Is like if it's unique to you and your company, this is customizable, which is why I love it.
Yeah. So where to go from there? Feedback and reviews, those are usually pretty quick. We'll just keep going up the list, I guess.
Yeah.
Again, we just tag it really quick. And so that's, just in and I have Google Workspace. It's not just Gmail. So I pay for my Google. It's the same thing, same product. I just have a back end that looks more expensive. So we're doing it was just replying to the message ID, which is being pulled from the Google, the email that came in. It comes with an ID number. We just make sure that we respond to that specific email, and then we just tag it. You do have to have the tag in your email account. So there's one thing. And if you want to do different tags, you can. It's all customizable, like we just said. But feedback and reviews, what we do is we're going to send it through a sentiment and analysis. So this is just another AI agent that's available in n8n. It's all right up in here. Just come down to sentiment analysis. And this one's kind of a special one because it only outputs one of three words. It either outputs the word positive, neutral, or negative. And so it's not going to do any other thinking beyond that. It's not going to write anything for you. It's just going to give you, is this a good email? Is it a email? Or is this like, hey, we need to show someone this?
Got it.
And so I have three paths for that. If it's negative, it's going to escalate it again. So same node as I had over here. It's, you can come in here and you can, choose who to send this to. You can choose to change the subject or the message or any of that. If it's neutral, it's just going to, I actually added this special for you, Jason, because my original bot didn't have all this extra database attached to it. And I was thinking it through, like sometimes if someone makes a comment and it's kind of a neutral comment as feedback, there might be an implied question in there. Right? Like maybe they didn't quite get the service they were looking for. Something wasn't quite right. So I attached the database, which I have all of my customer service questions and answers in there, information about my company and all of that. I just attach a database to it. And I allow the AI agent to determine whether this message seems like it's actually really a question in disguise. And then we give it all the resources to be able to answer that question.
And so the sentiment analyzer basically just reads the email and can determine, is this an overall positive, neutral, or negative, and then you're going to funnel it again.
Yes, and that's what we did here.
Yep,
so
perfect.
If it's a neutral message, it comes down this path here, and then the neutral agent is going to look at it, it's going to read the email. If it thinks there might be a question, it's going to pull out of our vector store database where we're keeping, our RAG database where we're keeping all of our customer service questions and information to try to like, hey, does this help? and then we just send an email to the customer.
Can you speak just a minute about the database?
Sure.
This is probably another conversation, another video entirely about how to build a RAG or a database, a vector database to store your information in. But can you talk just a little bit about how that gets built so that people kind of understand how the information gets uploaded?
So when you say built, like I used to be an attorney, so you got to be very, very clear with your words with me. Do you mean like the actual structure of the agent that would put stuff into the vector database, or what is a vector database?
Yeah, well, so that's where it gets complicated. So how do you get let's just assume the database is built and you're putting information into it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about a large sales team that's trying to upload all the questions and auto responses that they want to give. How does that process happen?
All right. So to do that, you would need a workflow that is built to be able to chunk the data in a certain way that's appropriate for your business.
Okay.
And so chunking is just a way of taking a certain number of tokens and making sure that they're all included in one, we'll call it item, that gets put into the library that we're going to be pulling information from. What you'd want to do is you want to make sure that you have, contextual items along with the data. So you're letting it know that these are customer service questions in addition to the questions and answers. That way, if you need to go back later to pull out of it, you can just search for customer service and then it pulls everything. Maybe even ID numbers or client ID numbers, depending on. It's such a big topic. It's kind of tough to.
Yeah, and that's why
what needs in there.
I wanted people to understand that what happened was you took all the questions that your company would have, and you stick them all in a very special type of database that allows the AI to be able to go and retrieve that information, whether it's metadata or whatever, and to do that really quickly so that you don't have to. So this is not we didn't just put this into a Google Sheet. It's actually in a special database where people can come and get that info, where the computer can go and pull that information, and it's in a format that the AI understands.
Yes, and I love vector store databases because the human mind cannot conceive of how they actually work.
Yeah, it's three-dimensional space. It's wild.
100-dimension graph. Like the data is put in one spot somewhere, and when your query is somewhere near it, and it pulls it somehow.
Yeah, it's a wild concept, but I don't want to get that deep into it. I just wanted everybody to know that there's a special way that we store that data that makes it easier for the AI to find it.
Sure, and I'll just keep going. So if we get a positive response, our bot should basically just thank them. I did add some extra language in here into my system prompt. I see if I can find it. If it's exceptionally positive, detailed, or would be valuable as a public testimonial, thank the user and actually ask them if we can use that as a testimonial. And here I would have a placeholder for like a customer survey form you would be able to put in there. So it'll send them an email saying, hey, can you fill out this? Because that's really nice. We'd appreciate it if you would share that publicly.
Absolutely.
All right. If it's an order or payment or refund or return related issue, an automatic system isn't not necessarily a completely templatized automated system isn't going to be able to do it for you.
Right.
Could I have built in Shopify and I can add in Shopify tools in here, WooCommerce. I could have done API calls to basically any system to do returns and do all that. The question is, do you want AI doing it?
Right.
And
at some point, you want a human in the loop. Like, honestly, we're talking about automating all of these, but you could very easily just send all of these responses into a draft folder.
Yeah,
and then you could just spend an hour at the end of every day going through and just authorizing to send, rather than having the AI do it and you don't have any touch at all.
In fact, that's how I usually do it for my own system. Except I apparently had this one, the positive response one, turned on. So one day I got an email, and I didn't know I got this email, but my bot was having a chat with this person back and forth. They were getting ready to do this testimonial. It was wonderful. But I logged in my email, and there was like this chain with like 8 emails, and I'm like, I don't remember sending any of these. What's going on?
Wow.
So automation's really cool, but sometimes it gets a little like, oh, I shouldn't be doing that.
Well, it's so funny because I've been playing around with just an email response. Someone would read and respond to my emails in a different workflow, and I had accidentally left it turned on. And someone had sent me a request. I get a lot of a lot of these BS requests that, let us work with you. Let us help you grow your channel or whatever. And this bot was actually responding to it with dates and times that I was available and we could schedule a time to talk. So,
well, you should look at my calendar scheduling bot then, Jason, because you could actually use that.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you. Okay, gang, quick break to tell you about our sponsor for the show, Motion. Listen, if your calendar resembles a Jackson Pollock painting and you find yourself constantly falling behind schedule, you need to try Motion. It's the AI-powered super app that rebuilds your workday in real time. Motion pulls every task, every project, every meeting into one place and then prioritizes and time blocks your calendar so that you always know exactly what to tackle next. It's kind of like having a project manager and a personal assistant and, an air traffic controller all rolled into one. And the results? Well, teams tend to finish work twice as fast with 90% fewer check-ins, emails, and meetings, which, let's face it, it's something we can all afford to avoid. And because Motion predicts delays before they happen, you can course correct in days instead of hours before a deadline. Now, I've swapped my patchwork of calendars, task apps, and sticky notes for Motion, and I have never been happier. So click the link in the description to try Motion for free today and start turning chaos into calm. Now, back to the show. I'm in this stuff now probably at least 40 hours a week and just working and studying and practicing. And, it's mind-numbingly painful for me as somebody who's new. But just if I look back over the last month of everything that I've learned, and you're a big part of that in helping me understand this stuff, it's awesome. The things that you can do with this is going to revolutionize every business in America. And whether you're a guy who is looking at this and saying, hey, I want to build this for myself or for my own team, or whether you're just saying, hey, I'm going to go hire somebody else to do it for me because this is way too complex and I don't have time to deal with it, you have to choose one or the other because you don't have the choice of doing nothing. Because doing nothing is going to destroy your business in the long term. We are at this inflection point right now, and there's a lot of opportunity for you to gain some alpha inside of your company by being faster or more productive or just, allowing the people on your team to be more productive. But if you're not learning this stuff and understanding what's possible, you are going to get left behind. So I'll get off my soapbox now.
When I go to networking events, people ask me, what do you do? I go, my tagline is, I take away people's jobs.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm doing. They're like, this right here is taking away somebody's job, especially when you customize it. You can build these things out so big. It's like, I just wish I had more time in the day to be able to do it myself.
I said the same thing to Gary, who's in charge of marketing for Motion, and we were talking about the podcast and all the stuff I was working on. And I said, the only thing that upsets me right now is I don't have more time to spend in this because it's super exciting.
All right, let me keep going.
Keep going. I don't want. We'll end up being here for 3 hours.
Yeah, we won't. Don't worry. I talk fast. If you get that order or return request or something like that, again, we tag it. We're going to send an email to the customer saying, "Hey, please give us 24 to 48 hours to respond." Obviously, it's adjustable, and then we're going to forward that on to your customer support person or manager. That way, they can handle it. Now, the meat of this bot is kind of this section here is when they actually have questions. And I sat here and I was thinking, like, I could have done just one branch, right? I could have just had all my questions handled by one database bot, and it might make sense to do that. Like, this may be overly complex, but I tend to do that as well. But I was thinking about it, like, different kinds of questions almost necessitate a different type of response. So if I'm asking a technical question, I'm hoping to get kind of a technical response back versus if I'm looking to purchase, the kind of response I want to send to that customer is going to be trying to push them to get the sale.
Yeah.
So I broke it into 3 different categories. The first one is kind of technical questions. The second one is questions related to getting ready to purchase, pre-sale questions. And the third is related to the company, policies, contact information, that sort of thing.
And inside of there, is that just a matter of, and I'm sorry if I'm jumping ahead of you, is that just a matter of writing a prompt for that agent and telling them exactly how you want them to respond?
So let me zoom out so I can drag over it just a little bit. So this section right here, if you can see the section I'm highlighting, just the top branch, is exactly the same as this one, is exactly the same as this one, except for when I go into these AI agents, the system prompt is different.
Got it. So it looks super complicated, but really it's just a copy and paste of the exact same thing, and you're just routing it to the appropriate agent.
Yes, it is. And when I went to go test this the other day, I realized I had just copied and pasted and I had not edited it correctly for you. So I had to spend a couple hours fixing it.
Oh, man.
So, so technical questions, all it really does is it's going to take the text of the email, and that's being pulled from where the system is getting the email out of. And then we run it through this. It looks complicated. It really isn't. It's just a prompt, just like you would prompt right into ChatGPT, into Claude or wherever. This is the system prompt. Now on ChatGPT, you don't get the system prompt. You only get the user prompt, which would be this input here. Mm-hmm. The system prompt tells the bot how to answer the question or who it is that's answering the question. And so when we do prompting, especially when you do high-level prompting, you have to have kind of a certain structure. Mm-hmm. And so all my prompts follow that structure. The first set is identity. You have to tell the bot who it is. If you don't tell it who it is, it might think it's a 14-year-old girl who's having trouble with boys in high school. Like, yeah. you got to be very specific with these agents to tell them who they are, because the more specific you are, the better answer you're going to get out of them.
Well, and not to fanboy too hard on you, but when I asked you about writing prompts, you actually have inside of your community, you have basically a ChatGPT, a custom one that will help you write the prompts, and it works really well. I don't know how you developed that, but man, it's solid. I've used it a few times.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I use it for myself. Everything that I make and I give to the community, I built for my businesses.
Yeah.
And like, it's just a matter of the first person I wanted to get rid of their job was me. I want to spend more time with my wife and daughter if I can. So, automate it. And I find now I'm working harder than ever before. So again, we give it the context of who it is. In this case, it's a technical customer support question answering assistant. We tell it what it does. And so in this case, it's going to extract the information from the question. It's going to try to figure out what that question really is. It's then going to go and search our Supabase vector store, and then you can use whatever vector store you want, for something that matches that question. All right. It then is going to write an HTML formatted reply, and it's going to ask them if they have any other questions, please respond, or please ask us. If the bot does not know the answer, or if it seems like this is not quite within its purview, it has the ability to escalate the ticket. And so if I come down here, way down here, this is all just information that the bot needs, the process it's going to follow. That's all process. This is what it's supposed to do in edge cases. And edge cases would be something like if it needs to escalate it, if it doesn't have the answer. And so I tell it to escalate, set it to true if it needs to escalate it, and then to write an apology email to the user, letting them know, hey, me, the bot, I don't have an answer, but I'm letting someone else know, and they'll get back to you.
That's genius.
Otherwise, just set it to false, and then it answers the question. And so it's going to output these three items here. One is just the search query of the thing that it was searching for, or what it thinks the customer was searching for, and that's mostly just for logging purposes. Mm-hmm. And then we give it the reply that it has to the user, again, either the apology or the actual answer, and then escalate will be set to either true or false. And so then we give it some things not to do. It's always important to tell your bots not to do this or that, because otherwise they'll think they can. And then we give it some examples. And so pretty much every prompt that I write looks just like this, and then some final details, because most people don't know this, but the bots, they're like children sometimes. You can give them very, very clear instructions, but they get hung up on the thing at the very end of what they read. So you always want to make sure you give it some final notes, like, please remember this if nothing else.
Yeah.
And so that's how I write all my prompts, and all the others are the same. So this one is a pre-sales customer information agent, more or less the exact same system. Otherwise, just the personality is different.
Yeah.
All right. So what we do is it's going to get the question, it's going to call the Supabase database, it's going to try to find the answer, and then it's going to give us our output. I then have an if node here. It's going to check if the bot says we need to escalate. If we need to escalate, we're going to send an email to the customer support team or manager or whoever, and just we've received a customer service request with technical questions, please look at it. And then it gives them all that context of what the message is. We're going to send an apology email to the user. So just pulls it right out of what the AI wrote, set as HTML. Mm-hmm. And HTML so that it looks pretty. If you write it in plain text, it does not look pretty, just so you know.
That was okay. So that was a question I had. I don't have HTML. I write all of my emails, and even when I email my list, I always use it in like plain text. And that wouldn't be possible. How does it come out?
It comes out as HTML.
No, I mean if you didn't choose HTML.
So if you didn't choose HTML, the response isn't going to look good. And I know why it would not look good. I had to explain why it doesn't. So the bots, if it put a \n, which is a markdown key for a line break, plain text doesn't see that as markdown. It doesn't see that as the code it needs to see to do a line break. If you wanted to add a line break in plain text, let me copy this so I don't actually break anything if I fix it. So if I set this just to text, now it's plain text.
Yep.
To do a line break, I actually have to enter here and then continue from there. Otherwise, it's going to write it all in one line, one long continuous line, and it doesn't look good.
Got it.
So I set it to HTML, and I have a video in the community about making your emails look pretty. That way, the bot will write it in HTML. If it needs headers, if it needs bold, if it needs italics, line breaks, all that, it does it itself. And then it comes out really nice.
Nice. Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
And then after it sends the apology email, it tags it as customer service. That way, if they reply, and my thinking was every single situation, no matter what happens, the user might reply. They just might, right? So even if you solve their question, they might say, thank you. Okay, well, shoot, what do we do now? If it does not escalate, then the bot simply responds to the customer, sends them that message, and then it tags them as customer service. And so that's it. That's essentially all what these other ones do as well, just again with a different personality of how it's going to write the message. If the customer does respond, so say we had a technical question, we answer their technical question, the bot tags it as customer service. Again, we're not actually using the tag, but depending on your system, tags might be the better solution. I just wanted to include it in there just in case. If it's a reply, it's going to come up this path here. And so this agent, what it's doing is it's reviewing. Let me change that so you can read it. So what it's doing is it's looking at the entirety of our email chain, and it's going to output. It's going to output two items. One is the current message that we just got, and the second one is a summary of the previous conversations that we've had so far. So that moving forward, when we go into the rest of this system up here, and we're handling this customer service ticket essentially anew, it's not new. That way, all these bots will have that past information. They know what they've already told the customer. They know what the customer's already asked and had addressed. And it's the same exact process. Everything here is the same, except for this one branch down here. And that's just because my thinking was this. If I get a new email into my customer support emails saying, I need to speak to your manager, I don't care, I don't need the low-level stuff, just send me up.
Yeah.
Okay. The bot doesn't need to respond. Might as well just send it up. There's no reason to say, hey, okay, we'll let somebody know. It's just send it up. But if they're already engaged in a thread with you, if they've already asked a question and they go, you know what, I really need to speak to your manager, well, then the bot should respond in that situation because they're already conversing with the user. Yeah. They can't just ghost them, right? So we'll send a message. So I have a bot here that will write a quick response saying, okay, I'll send it up to my manager, send the email to the user, and then we report up to customer service.
Got it. And so it basically the last two are kind of the same all across the board. It's just like I'm going to send a reply and then I'm going to tag it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So here, there's none of those tag nodes because there's no need to tag. It's already been tagged.
It's already been tagged. Yeah.
But otherwise, it's exactly the same.
That's brilliant. And so so there's two different ways that you can, as we said, you can think about this is like, do you want to build it yourself or do you want to have somebody else build it? Let's say that somebody's watching the show and they're like, hey, I'm not sure if I do really want to build this, or maybe not something like this, but I'd like to dip my toe in the water and kind of understand how this works. Because, I mean, like I said, my knowledge of this has grown exponentially. I don't code either. I haven't read a stitch of code. And when I heard that, when I heard you say that you didn't either, I was really impressed. And so when you're talking through all this stuff, it's not gibberish to me. But 2 months ago, it was total gibberish. So where do you recommend that people start if they're really wanting to understand how this works at a deeper level?
So probably start the way you and I both started, which is go watch somebody's video.
Yeah.
Just go watch somebody's video, see what they did, watch it, kind of understand the flow. Because all this is data flow, right? If you can kind of go with it. I'm from California. I flow everywhere, right? Like it's and that's how I approach this is there's an input, the data gets processed somehow, and then there's an output, and it has to flow correctly. And in fact, the analogy I used to use until my daughter cut her hair about 3 weeks ago was it was like brushing my daughter's hair. She's 8 years old. Her hair was like 2 feet long. So to brush this, if I start at the top, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I got to start at the bottom. I gotta work from the direction I need to get the tangles out, and then you are able to complete the job. And so that's how I think of these bots is a flow. And so watching the videos will help you teach you the flow of the data. But to actually just go ahead and start building, what I would do is I just start building. I just come in here, I'd create a workflow. Like I like n8n. It's a visual builder. It's not no code, it's low code. So there's some spots you do need to know. But we'll just start with a simple chat bot. So a chat bot is just a chat trigger node to be able to type something in. You have an AI. All right, we'll put an AI and connect it to a chat, and that's it. We'll add a chat model. Boom. So then I would just go, hi. Now it's able to chat with me. Now I can add context to it. I can add memory to it. I can, back this chat thing up, and I can add some Google Sheets nodes or CRM, or you can just build from it. Start really small, and then what do you want to do? And then think through how do you do that task?
Yeah. It's super exciting. And the cool thing, you said it earlier, but I actually realized this. I can't believe how long it takes me to realize things that are so simple to understand. But every one of those nodes is really just input output. Yeah. I've got something coming into this node, and this node is going to do something and deliver an output inside of that. That's all it is. And until you get into the agents, when you start playing around with agents, one of the big differences is that the agent then decides how to process. And so you can give it multiple different things, connect it to multiple things, so it can choose how it wants to do a task. But ultimately, when that agent is done, it's getting fed some information, and then it's doing something, and it's providing an output every single time, every single node. And like I said at the beginning, if you can just think through the steps, like how would you do something? That's kind of the first process. And don't start with something like this. Start with something simple. Yeah, start with something simple that would be useful for you. The last video that we did for the show, I walked through that document, that receipt uploader that you and I were working on a little bit together, and showed it. That even was a little bit complicated for me, but it was something that, hey, that's useful for me because I'm terrible at keeping track of receipts, and my accountant and my bookkeeper hate me. And so this is something I can use every single day, and I don't have to go pay for some third-party software to make it work. And so those are the things that's how I've started to build, and that's what I think is so cool about this platform like this, is that anybody can use it. And they give you like a 14-day trial, too, for free, which is pretty cool.
Yes, and a 14-day trial with all of the bots that I give away in the community. You can go places. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So let's talk about that. I'm a huge fan of yours. I love the community. I love the amount of support that you give people. So how do people find you? And if they're interested really in getting a little bit of help as they're learning, where do they go?
Sure. You can find me. I point everybody to my YouTube channel. So just search for Bradford Carlton. I'll be the first one who pops up. You can go to my community where I give away all these bots for free, like this one. After Jason lets me know this is live, or right before it goes live, I'll make it available in the community. It's school.com/automate-business-AI. But again, if you go to my YouTube channel, you can find it. My link is everywhere. You can go to my website, bradfordcarlton.com. My link is everywhere. I try to make it really easy for people.
Yeah, I'll link all of those for those of you watching. I'll link all this stuff down in the description so you can go check it out. But man, number one, I really appreciate you building this because I know how much time it takes and I know how much care you put into it. And, to do that just to come on this podcast is pretty awesome of you. But also, I appreciate your time to walk us through it and to show everybody what's possible, and not even a unique use case. I think this is something that every company could use and find value in. So I appreciate all the help.
Can I make one point?
Absolutely.
If you have a business that's doing like 3,000 customer support tickets a day, you do not use this one on n8n Cloud.
You got to self-host.
You have to self-host.
Okay.
Yeah, because you just don't get enough executions per month on their paid plan, so you have to self-host.
Yeah, that's not really as complicated as it might sound. It's just a matter of getting some server space and so that you can do as many iterations as you need.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that, so they don't go and download this and go, oh darn, that Bradford.
Well, all right, man. Anything else? Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think we're good unless you have anything else yourself.
All right, man. Well, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Anytime, Jason.
Yep. And all right, gang, I know that might have seemed super confusing and overwhelming for you, but there's a good alternative. See, if anything that you saw today got you excited about using AI and the potential it has to grow your business, but you're just looking for a little easier way to dip your toe in the water, and I highly suggest you check out Motion. They have AI tools, built-in project management software, and they've even added their own AI agents that you can now use to help process information and work at a pace that you never have been before. And everybody on your team, it's an exceptional product. I absolutely love it, and I think every single one of you should check it out, whether or not you decide to build your own stuff or not, because they're doing amazing things and they're trying to stay right on the cutting edge of what's happening in AI, most importantly, AI agents and workflows. So there's a link in the description where you can go get a free trial. Please do that. Go check it out, and I'll talk to you again soon.